Hello, everybody. We have here Steve, and he's been canvassing in Pennsylvania, the York area, trying to bring home the vote here at the last stages of the election. And so, Steve, what's your feeling as you go around Pennsylvania, the York area, which is I think historically a red district, and what are your ideas for the to hone the message at the end of the campaign here is we only got less than 10 days.
Well, thanks for having me. Um, in my the time I've been spending in central Pennsylvania, not far from the Philadelphia suburbs, but further out to be sort of an essential, slightly red but changing area. I've had a lot of positive comments. More Harris in the city of York, more Harris than Trump signs. But what I would like to talk about right now, with you, if I could, and with you in the audience, is where Harris should be going in the next 2 weeks.
Well, before we look ahead for that, I was wondering, you've canvassed there in that area previous elections. Just the general feeling of it compared to what you're seeing the last couple of weeks?
I think the general feeling is it's much more. It's the leaning towards Democrats and leaning towards Harris. There's more excitement. There's more involvement. Um, the times I've canvassed there before, it was more lower key, not as many. Um, not say not as many volunteers showing up at any one time, but in this area there are more. There are it's more. There's more excitement. There's more people coming in from other areas, especially from Maryland, um, to help out. So I think it's a good sign. And I don't see or even hear of any ground game the Republicans are undertaking in the York area for the probably the whole election season.
All right, that's good, and that sounds like a trajectory of positive for Harris from what you've experienced. So, yeah, what do you think going into the last 2 week, couple of well, not well, last 10 days, I'd say. What do you think the message should be?
Well, this is what I think about the last next the 2 weeks. Since this campaign began, even before uh, Harris became the nominee, a state like Pennsylvania, it was always neck and neck. It still remains neck and neck. And I've been giving this a lot of thought about where the vice president and Tim Walz should be taking the message of this campaign should be in the next 2 weeks. And I think it will resonate. It will especially resonate in Pennsylvania. The, let's see the facts. The facts is that we everyone knows that Donald Trump is uh, either disinterested or disdains democracy and the democratic process. He has stated that he's going to be a strong man from the beginning, a dictator from the beginning, and it doesn't seem to budge anyone. His, I believe his top MAGA supporters don't take him seriously, but not literally, and the uh, his ideas, his proposals have not been taken seriously by those people who will have a propensity to vote for him. You know, Donald Trump has made his delivery, made it sound as innocuous as a regular insult comic who you know while he is being very vicious in his insults, or when you see on Comedy Central, you see a roast, they say the worst things about a person, but it's all in fun. I think Donald Trump comes across that way. So I think the message is that he is a threat to democracy, even though he is. I don't think it's going to land as much as the two things that the Democrats have have to push in the next 2 weeks. The number one thing is the economy, but more than the economy, because the unemployment rates since Joe Biden took over and we recovered from the pandemic have been at historical lows for 4 years running. The Dow Industrial Average, in terms of the growth of this country, has exploded. So, there's a lot of indications that this economy is in good shape, with one exception: inflation. Prices are too high, and interest rates for items such as houses have gone up. I was reading a very fascinating article in October 24th New York Times, where it was a guest essay by Adam Cecil, who is a former journalist, who has been since the summer was going around the country asking people what they how they felt about the economy, and who they were going to vote for. Almost to a person, everyone who was going to vote for Trump stated the economy was horrible, or the next biggest answer was it sucks. The price of eggs has gone up. And even though right now the rate of inflation has stabilized, prices are still high. What Kamala Harris has to do about that is to emphasize the programs she has already delivered, things she has already said, and to hammer it home what she will do to bring prices down. And maybe some people have said this isn't going to work, but I think she should talk a lot about greedflation. The idea of greedflation is that corporations taking advantage of the situation that was that came out of the pandemic, when we had when we couldn't get supplies in fast enough because our supplies chains had broken down, that there were empty shelves, that you couldn't get toilet paper, you couldn't get a lot of essentials, but now you can. So the price went up when the demand was high and the supply was low. The supply is now high. The demand has gone back to a regular level, but the supply has gone back to regular level pre-pandemic days. But the corporations, seeing that these people were willing, that consumers were willing to pay this much, have slowly, or never brought back down the prices. This, I believe that Harris must address this to show that she is against the establishment and for working people like you and me. The other part, she should. So she should work on. She should work on inflation by attacking greedy corporations who have kept policies out artificially high. She should talk about increasing the child tax credit to lift children out of poverty, and they're put money in parents' pockets. And she should talk about this is a program which differs from President Biden's. She should talk about making it easier to put a down payment on a house, and the government will help you with this. These deviate from Biden's programs, even though Biden's done a lot of good work, and and there's no shame in what Biden's done, and the Vice President Harris should acknowledge it. But these few programs should prove that she's on the side of ordinary Americans, of just people like you and me, and that she is going to go up against the corporate establishment. And I would hone that message and just keep it up like a drumbeat until election day. That's the one part. On the other side, I think we have some very good spokespeople who point out some of the things that the Trump campaign is doing. They think they're being funny, but has Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez pointed out, that we all know about Donald Trump's stunt at working the fries and the windows at a staged event at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, who long worked as a food service worker. I've worked as a food service worker. I know you've worked as a food service worker. Most of us have done our stint. Donald Trump never did, and he is there in a suit, in a shirt and tie with an apron, making fun of us. He really is making fun of us that we've worked for a living. And he seems to make it like, oh, it's funny, it's innocent, it's on jest. No, this is an insult. This is an insult to Americans. I think that should be pushed. That being said, that's the economy. The other thing, and the very dangerous thing, which sets her apart from Donald Trump and the Republican Party, is that Donald Trump put the justices in place that overturned Roe v. Wade. He did that. He can't run from it as much as he tries. And his strange logic that things are going to be better under him, even though Roe v. Wade's been overturned, and that he would not sign an abortion ban, I wouldn't believe that. Women are dying. Women are bleeding out in parking lots because doctors and healthcare workers are refusing to deal with them under threat of being imprisoned. When abortions have gone, not abortions, but pregnancies have gone awry and they need a medical abortion. The other thing has been that the Attorney General of Attorney General of Texas is subpoenaing to see women's health records to see if they may have crossed the Texas border to get abortions. This is a vicious attack on human rights. And under Trump, it's only going to get worse. Just remember, when Trump says he's going to do something, he will do something. He will do it. And he was very vindictive. He will do it or try to do it. These two issues that, well, going back, abortion, safeguarding abortion rights, and bringing down inflation are the two issues that the Harris campaign should be talking about. We know about his threat to democracy. We know that he is friendly with our adversaries. Trump-leaning Republicans and those who are undecided know it. It doesn't seem to matter. But if we take positive steps to get America to understand what we're going to do, we're going to make positive changes to bring down inflation and protect women's rights and reproductive rights. I think that is the breakaway argument that in the closing days will give us this election.
Okay, but so yeah, those are all really good points.
I know I laid a lot on you.
No, that's all right. The only thing I would, in Trump's defense, he was in the hospitality industry. Oh, I'm just being funny, but okay, seriously, we're crafting. We're coming to the end. People want to be optimistic, but we have to be also realistic about what's your sense of what people should do, how they should. Should we be panicking? What do you have a feeling in general? And besides everybody getting out and being proactive,
I don't think we should be panicking. I am worried. I'm worried on two levels. The one level now is that this is still, I think now that the honeymoon phase of Harris campaign has died down, I think chauvinism that male, especially chauvinistic male reporters in the press, are going to rear their ugly heads and say, "Well, remember, this is a woman. This is a woman running. Are we ready for that? What do we know about Kamala Harris? We know lots about Kamala Harris. We know that Joe Biden thought she was good enough to be president, and has endorsed her, and Bill Clinton's endorsed her, and Barack Obama's endorsed her, and all there's I've read all these places where a man would say, "Oh, I really like Clinton. I really liked Obama." Well, their choice is Kamala Harris, and this idea of having a woman in the White House is is an idea whose time has long been viable. Wait, but the other part is we. That's one thing that's happening. The other thing that's happening is that we do have to be very, whatever little thing we can do, whether it's voting, whether you're getting your friends to go and vote, is whether calling people who live in the six, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, uh, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. Well, those seven. If you know someone there, make sure they're voting.
Also, you can go to Act Blue. You can still donate.
You can go to Act Blue. If you want to volunteer, you can go to votesaveamerica.com, and they can show you easy ways you can phone bank or go to a place to canvass. They say you live in California, near close places in Nevada and Arizona. You can either call or visit. And if you're in New York, you can go to Pennsylvania. If you're in DC or Maryland, you can go to Pennsylvania.
Does Pennsylvania have any abortion things on the ballot?
That I don't know.
Oh, okay. So, we're getting all these various, not really on the same plan, agreement, or then all the news sources. You can't really get a message that you can really feel good. What do you suggest as the best news sources going until now to the end of election that balance realism with isn't trying to excite people, isn't being more of a campaign source, but is more an actual realistic, but tempered source, but one you can trust as far as like websites, podcasts, newspapers. What are the best places to go for news in the closing couple of 10 days, whatever?
Well, I think generally I go through I'm following all the main sources, and I think that the things I just said, there are elements of the male hierarchy trying to disparage Harris. It could be greater in some places, less in others. I'm not gonna right now. I really can't point to a single source, but I will say that the polls are going to be razor thin. They're going to be razor thin for the whole until election day. But there are theories that it's going to break because traditionally women don't like to announce who they're voting for fear of retribution from their husbands. I think this is a quiet revolution of women voters who will hand Kamala Harris the presidency. That's what I'm hoping. I think that on the other side, Donald Trump is trying to go after infrequent voters, young men, kind of bros, but bros don't really have a tendency to vote. So that's more in our favor. But in terms of watching any of the polls, it's just going to be neck and neck. Yeah, I think there's something that's kind of the polling system has to be radically rethought because nothing's changed. Nothing's changed in almost a year.
Yeah. Also, if you were trying to set this scenario at a certain time, maybe a couple of years ago, if you were to set a scenario about the different candidates and their histories and their arguments, you would think it would be like 90-10 in this election.
Oh yeah.
Also, because you get very strange things. Here's some of the weird things you hear. Like I was listening to someone and they were saying that you can't even count early voting as being Democrats or the whatever progressive voters. It says, and then it says in Nevada, I heard that the mail-in voting is outdone 18%. The Republicans are leading it in what have been or they think is ahead in mail-in voting, even though you think that Republicans only would go that day. That's the.
So you're saying that the Republicans are leading in mail-in voting, or
in Nevada? That's what I heard, which is one of the reasons why I'm saying it's hard to find sources.
Well,
I can't even remember where that was.
One thing that the Trump administration has not Trump administration, but the Trump campaign has done is made many reversals, no policy stances except will win. And there is the MAGA, there's the hardcore MAGA, which will walk on water, which would, because they believe Trump walks on water, they'll walk on water for him. So they're probably, in places like Nevada, especially in the rural places, they're probably worried about the election, even though I do think that Nevada, with abortion being on the ballot, abortion rights on the ballot, and Las Vegas, I'm pretty confident that's going to go for Harris. But these things have been so tight. You never know.
Here's we'll wrap up in a minute, but I'll say this interesting thing about Maryland campaign is that Hogan. So this is odd. He putting all these commercials about the also Brooks or his campaign or PAC is. I don't know if it's him, but the odd thing is if he had never said anything, that's how everybody knows who she is. Now that's why she's going to win, because before I didn't even know. I'm Democratic Party guy, but I didn't even know what she looked like. Now they're putting all those ads that nobody believes because they don't think of, if she did all this, why hasn't she been under legal investigation? Plus, personal scandals like that don't really register because of all this Trump stuff. So
it's amazing
if he hadn't have said anything, he'd probably be ahead if he had never put any negative ads on her.
It's amazing that political scandals of any type, sexual assault rumors, accusations, are even reported anymore from both sides, because the Republicans have clearly showed it's a game, especially with evangelicals, and the one person running who ran away from his military obligation, has been a failure of business, has been litigated more than probably most individuals in the United States, and has had almost a quarter, 25 women accuse him of sexual impropriety and nothing.
Well, and also, you would ever think this would be true in America? It's really sad that the head of his was his Joint Chiefs of Staff. Kelly was his.
Well, Milley, his choice chief of staff, and Kelly, his longest serving chief of staff.
His chief of staff comes out and says and lays the argument about the things that he said that he hasn't really ever denied. But so Kelly, whose I think son died in service
in either Iraq, I think in Afghanistan.
But he's out saying the argument that he's fascist. He's a fascist. He's going to have a fascist regime if he happens to get in power again. I mean, if that's not enough, I don't know. I don't. And the Trump response was, or the campaign response was, he's just making it up. Now, yeah, what? Like that, he would like sit down and go, "Hey, you know what? I got a great idea. I'm going to make up a story, even though there's people around it who can corroborate it, and I have nothing but integrity about what I say is, observable facts." They say
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the MAGA people have long decided that anybody who disparages Donald Trump is a sour grapes enemy of his, trying to bring him down. That will say anything. Nothing has to. To them, Donald Trump has done nothing except just been his authentic self. Even though his authentic self is criminal and evil and detrimental to our way of life and our government.
And all our values.
And our values. Well, detrimental to our government. I really meant our values.
What's the point of being the United States if that's who we're going to elect?
I know.
All right. Well, you got any, thank you for your thoughts. You got to come back and do more podcasts.
I will. The next time I come back, I will give you the dispatch from Pennsylvania.
In closing, for me, I want to say that I recommend House Sparks as a podcast to watch. He's great. And the guy Destiny I started to watch. He's pretty good. He's got like a good, he brings on people and argues. He's got that like college argumentative fervor stuff way, And what about yourself?
Well, for any student of politics and the election in America, the gold standard for podcasts is Pod Save America with John Favreau, Dan Pfeiffer, Tommy Vitor, and John Lovett, all who worked in the White House under Barack Obama and have started crooked media to counterbalance the right-wing media that is undermining the values of America. Within